Good morning.
Good morning. What do you do when your coffee pot runs out of coffee, or your mate drinks it all? You turn the tea.
Yeah, you're a coffee hog.
Yes.
We want to thank our friend who sent us this recording from a recent Circuit Overseers visit. And I'm not going to mention his name or what state he lives in because technically he's a PMO.
Yeah.
So, we wouldn't want to out him, but we appreciate it.
Yes. There's a couple of things about this particular Circuit Overseers visit that Kim and I want to address, and obviously we're going to have the clip so you can hear it too. One of the things that he focuses on in this particular talk is how miserable Jehovah's Witnesses are in their marriages. And this is something that Kim and I have had observed even as fully indoctrinated JWs. We sat and asked ourselves, why are so many witnesses getting divorced? I mean, after all, these are the last days. Armageddon's just around the corner. Can't these marriages just stick together until Armageddon comes? Well, Armageddon never comes. And these couple continue to live in misery. Now, contrary to what Watchtower teaches in their little spiritual paradise that Jehovah's Witnesses are living in, you can hear through this talk that this circuit overseer is pointing out that there is no spiritual paradise because these witnesses are miserable. In fact, he even makes a comment about they're just existing in the marriage. But the reality is Jehovah's Witnesses are just existing. They don't have any real purpose in life because, their education has been taken away from them.
Well, yeah, just preaching.
Yeah, any type of secular career they might have is taken away from them. Any ambitions they have is taken away from them. And they're so indoctrinated with perpetual fear that when they leave Watchtower, some of them don't know how to escape this fear because it's so ingrained.
Okay, let's just play a clip here from the talk, what he said about marriage.
And you may be surprised that the first area that we'll mention is in the area of marriage. Now, why do we mention marriage? Well, to be very honest, many people find themselves in marriages and they're not happy. To the point that you have couples that simply existing together. More and more you see this trend setting in of individuals being married 10, 20, 30, 40 years or more. All of a sudden saying, that's it. I can't take it anymore. I want out of this marriage. One married sister, she's now retired, having problems in her marriage. She said, this was not supposed to work like this. I'm at the point in my life where I want to sit on my porch in the morning, drink my coffee with my husband, take a few vacations, play with the grandchildren, and here I am dealing with this. Doesn't make her a bad person, does it? Really, she just wants good life. But if she's not careful, she may begin to seek ways to get out of that marriage that will damage her relationship with the giver of life. Certainly this mentality is setting in of, I have to have it now. And do you know, like a major contributor to this mentality is so-called reality TV. Which, by the way, has very little to do with reality, right? But it features entitled people who feel they deserve better. They're strong, they're independent, they make their own money. When they are unhappy, they voice it. After they voice it, they expect immediate changes. If the changes do not happen, well, then they're out of here because they don't need anyone to take care of them because they make their own money. Do you know that we've been introduced to this entirely even for a short period of time We can go from an individual that was once content to now all of a sudden wanting more out of life. Oh yes, we know what the Bible encourages, so they may be here in Christian meetings, may go out in field service, but not willing to do the things that are necessary to fully be pleasing to Jehovah. So then, if we find ourselves in a situation like this, what can we do? Well, the first thing is we may have to change our expectations. See, what sort of expectations should we have with marriage? Well, the scripture says if you get married, there's going to be what? Tribulation in the flesh. So you're going to have some problems in your marriage, right? Really, we can say, what's the expectation for marriage and even life in this system of things? Turn, please, to 1 Peter chapter 4. 1 Peter 4, we'll read verses 1 and 2. There it reads, since Christ suffered in the flesh, you too arm yourselves with the same mental disposition, because the person who has suffered in the flesh has desisted from sins, so that he may live the remainder of his time in the flesh, no more for the desires of men, but for God's will. Did you see the disposition that Jesus had? That he was willing to suffer. Make no mistake about it, we too must be willing to suffer. Now please don't misunderstand this. It's not to say that we can't find joy in life, can't find joy in our marriage, but we do understand that joy is an aspect of the fruit of Jehovah's Holy Spirit. It will only be attained if we live in accord with God's will. Now, what allowed Jesus to be willing to suffer when he lived here on earth? Well, you kept in mind the big picture. The scriptures tell us that he had a glory that belonged to an only begotten Son. And so, as far as Jesus was concerned, to give up that glory and to come here on earth to live a few years pursuing selfish desires, to him it wasn't worth it. And may the same be true with us today. So then, if we find ourselves suffering in our marriage, what can we do? Well, why not take out your wedding vow? Ask yourself, how am I living up to this vow? Resist the urge to ask yourself, how is my mate living up to the vow? Because even if it's just you putting forth the effort, be assured that Jehovah is pleased with your commitment to the marriage.
So he's calling marriage a tribulation in the flesh. And he's basically saying, suck it up. Yeah, we know you're miserable, but, you don't want to do anything about it. Focus on the preaching work. And I get the impression he's saying that if you are thinking about, getting out of it and pursuing a life, that you're just being selfish.
Yeah. Well, there again, it goes back to what I said previously. It just shows how miserable Jehovah's Witnesses are. I mean, that last meal that I had with my mother, 6 years ago now, whatever the time that's elapsed, I remember her saying, Michael, I'm going to die and we're still going to be in this system of things. And I turned to her and said, yep, you and me both. But that shows the level of misery that these people are willing to live in, because Watchtower keeps feeding the bullshit that these are the last of the last days. So well, like you said, just suck it up. Shut up, sit down in your kingdom halls, and just continue to give us your money.
Yeah.
And that's what it all boils down to.
Now, the next clip we're going to play, he's talking about the elders, and you may be upset with the way elders handle something, something, the way they treat you, you know, the abuse they dish out, there again, suck it up. These guys are just following direction, and they're loyal to Jehovah and his organization.
Yeah.
So, you know, let's listen to the clip.
But do you know, even in the congregation, we may begin to manifest this worldly mentality? See, in one breath, we can easily say, oh, everybody's imperfect. Everything's not going to be done right. But what happens when things are done that we don't feel is right? What happens if we feel that it negatively affects us? Do we find ourselves going on these theocratic crusades, protesting, being critical of the elders like they do with the governments of this system of things? You know, I can't tell you how many times individuals have come to me and made a complaint. When you look into it, the elders have done exactly as they should have done. You know, friends, these men are loyal, and they deserve the benefit of the doubt. You know, at some point, we're going to have to realize in this system of things that no matter how good we have it right now, there's going to be something that we experience in this world that's going to make us say, this is not living. And if you haven't experienced it now, just wait. It's coming. See, friends, what we really want is for our soul to be wrapped up in the bag of life.
Now, did you guys catch it? There again, mentioning the bag of life. This time, though, he says you want your soul wrapped up in the bag of life. And, you know, we've done a video, you know, last year I think it was, when they had on their broadcast about the bag of life. Now, when you have watched a lot of ancient civilization documentaries on YouTube like we have, you are very well aware of, like, Graham Hancock and several others who talk about this bag of life, this man bag, in the hands of, like, these priests, these ancient gods, you know, whatever you want to call them, in this bag of life. So if it's a, what the Orthodox Christians would call a mythology, that all these other pagan gods, you know, because that's what they would view them as, false gods, if they all have this bag of life from all these civilizations all over the world, why would Watchtower even focus on, you know, you want your soul wrapped up in the bag of life? And there's a whole subject about your soul being wrapped up in the bag of life. So they are implying that your soul is separate from your physical, you know, body, your meat suit.
There you go. See, this is what we are trying to help people recognize and realize about the Judeo-Christian Bible. This is a Roman document that started Western civilization. And these are the things that we as a Western civilization are being forced to accept as the code for the Western civilization. It's a Roman document that, with enough proper research and enough proper thinking of yourself, for yourself, you begin to realize that this book, this Judeo-Christian book, is nothing but a book of ancient mythologies, just like Jehovah's bag of life. That goes back to ancient mythology. So we're all told by the Watchtower Bible Tract Society, oh, you don't want to have anything to do with ancient mythology, but then these knuckleheads read a scripture that's taken right from ancient mythology and connecting Jehovah's bag of life with the gods and their bags of life. It's no different. But see, this is what Western civilization is based on. And if you're paying real close attention to what's going on in the world right now, by the amount of YouTubers disseminating all of this and pointing to the real beginnings of human civilizations, you are beginning to realize, and if your acutive awareness is up to par, you are seeing that the dialogue that belongs to Western civilization is falling apart right before our very eyes.
And getting back to the Bag of Life, they have found it in Göbekli Tepe. There's a pillar that has 3 of them on this pillar, the Bag of Life, and they date Göbekli Tepe to 12,000 to 15,000 years ago. They're not exactly sure, but they call it antediluvian or pre-diluvian.
Yeah, pre-diluvian. Pre-diluvian time period.
Yeah, and then it was purposely buried.
Yeah, so I mean, there is so much going on that if you really pay attention to even how Watchtower spins, you know, an outline like this that they gave to this circuit overseer, you can hear the ancient mythology coming right out of even Watchtower's mouth. But you have to be willing to do something, and I want to thank Jeff Daughtry for making this comment when he interviewed Monica, and that interview is on the Jeff Daughtry channel, and Monica, her channel is I Am Monica 57. Great interview, but I want to repeat what Jeff Daughtry said. We have been taught to swap investigation for revelation. Don't do that, friends. Don't swap revelation for investigation, because you're never going to ever figure anything out once you stop investigating.
Yeah, exactly. So great job, Monica. We enjoyed the interview, and hopefully he'll have you on again.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So thank you for watching, and hope you have a wonderful weekend. Take care.
Bye.